assume that it's us for now. Which is fine. If she's still interested, then I can give her a summary of stuff.
Okay.
So one technical thing for Sahan, do you have a Gmail by chance?
With the town?
No, just a Gmail so you can access Google Drive.
Yeah, I will. Do you want me to text it to you?
Yeah, I mean it can happen later on. It's just I
Okay,
uploaded all the documents on
no
there so
problem.
that we can edit things at the same time if need be.
Yep. So you're
Um,
looking the personal email? Is that what you're looking for?
yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do it right now, actually. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Ariane, I'm not sure if you've looked at what I've uploaded at all. But
No, I
basically
haven't. Sorry.
that's okay. That is a-okay. So basically what I've uploaded is the original open space plan from 2017,
mhm.
our survey questions, a workbook to help us improve the open space plan, and some of our responses from the survey already. And so the goal of this meeting, I just want to formally say, since this is a public meeting, the goal of this meeting is not to discuss any changes that are going to happen to the open space plan itself. It is strictly just to work on formulating a committee and discussing the best organization for future meetings, so that the public knows that they're not missing any input if they wish to put any in. Okay. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the meeting notes I uploaded, which I'll summarize this. This is from the workbook. So like I said, there is already an open space plan 2017. And if you haven't scanned through it yet, feel free to do that. Well, you should do that. And I personally read through the whole thing and felt like that there was a decent amount of improvement. And I know with some people I've already went through a couple of pages, the maps and some of the descriptions and stuff, and I said this could definitely be updated. So that's the main goal of our committee. And there is a table. It's a table in the workbook that shows what needs to be revised every 5 years a plan is created. So I added that, and that was just more for a frame of reference of what it's going to mean to be a part of this committee. So we're not completely creating a new book. We're just trying to heighten it and improve it. That being said, we need to create a committee. So hopefully by the end of this, you three still want to be a part of this process. But the workbook also mentioned adding people that aren't part of conservation or the select board. So I'm hoping that you guys might have some thoughts and input about people that we could add that maybe I don't know, but you guys know.
I don't know a specific person, but maybe like we could advertise like a public slot or something.
Okay.
Just like, hey, member of the public or members, if you're interested, I'm going to develop this. In some other towns that I've seen a similar plan for, I think like the Board of Health, like people from like one person from each department is usually involved. But it's like the bulk, like conservation that deals with it.
Okay. Yeah, the list that was in the workbook, I mean, it directly, obviously, conservation, and it went to planning board. It says planning board member, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like Amy Sutherland. It could be someone that's on the planning board. They had recreation commission and they had historical commission. We don't have those, right, in Bellingham?
Ask
I
the
don't
question
think.
again, Hannah.
Historical commission or recreation commission. We don't have those.
I think we have historical commission. I think Larry might be in there with with the library trustees. A few other people I cannot remember the names right now, but I'm pretty sure Larry Spasato might be in that committee. But I will definitely look into it.
Okay.
On the website, they do have a page. It says they're at 3 Common Street in Bellingham. And the chair is Richard Marco.
You're so
If
fast.
I pronounced that right. It's
Okay.
online, it's right there.
It's right there. Okay, that was one of my questions, because I know also we don't have a Community Preservation Act, so we wouldn't have a Community Preservation Committee. And then in terms of outside the town workings, they said it's good to have people involved in real estate development or business interests, people who are interested in community character and landscape preservation, people who are interested in trail development, and then rare and endangered species. So that's kind of like a really random group of people. So
Anna,
besides,
is there a recommended quantity on this committee?
I was thinking that it would feel a lot if it was over 8. And this list also is probably from the viewpoint of we're starting a brand new open space plan, whereas we're just updating it. So we also can kind of pick and choose when people would be important to participate. Does anyone else have any thoughts on the size of a committee though?
No, I wouldn't want it any bigger than that. By
Yeah.
the time you get around 8, certainly over 10, consensus becomes difficult, and it's
Should we keep it
difficult
at an
to.
odd number for consensus?
I can support
7?
that, Ariane.
Like a 7 or 9, or I think I might agree with Steve with that.
Let's what do we think of targeting 9 and defaulting to 7? Anything less than that, I mean, we'll take what we can. We may not even get any more than what is here. 7 or 9.
And we could also maybe like have 5 consistent, and then 4 who are like our GIS map person, and like, so they'll be there at some meetings, but not necessarily need to be there at all meetings. And that could be up to like 9 people total, if you see it that way.
Do we have a GIS person?
Yeah, his name's David. And I've met with him at least twice. So he knows that this is on I put it on his radar. So he knows.
Okay.
Because that was my big gripe. Which, if you're a GIS person, if you look at the maps on the 2017 plan, they're terrible. I don't have a better word for it. I think there's a lot of improvement for them. David didn't do them, by the way. So
What conceptually, I understand a GIS person. What will they be able to add to this process? Just draft the maps that we change?
yeah, so a lot of these maps could change. So for example, in the 2017 open space, it said that Bellingham had 0 environmental justice communities. That's now changed today. There's 2 communities actually that at least I can see on maps. So like that's a completely new map that we've never incorporated.
So I was gonna volunteer to do that if we didn't have a GIS person, but I think it would be better if he did it, because he would probably be keeping that data internal as well, and it would be available to the public to use like through Mass Mapper. Whereas I would be like downloading stuff from Mass Mapper and like throwing it onto a GIS plan.
Well, you know what you could do is be the person he communicates with if you feel like you have decent standards for GIS, to be like, we can do this, or could you add a layer this way or whatever, because he's going into this blind.
Okay, yeah, I can do that, because I can definitely like mediate the discussion, like, hey, add this shape file and things like that. Or like
Right.
take your ideas and turn them into instructions for a map.
Right.
Ariane, you gonna join us in video?
Oh, my camera doesn't work. I just can't figure out how to turn it on. I press the button and it doesn't
I
work.
miss your
don't know.
smiling face.
I don't believe so. Okay, since you went on the topic of things that you feel like you'd be good at, I don't know, Steve and Sahana had thought about things that you would want to focus on. I want to prioritize what you guys want to do since you're giving me your free time. If you think, or I could also give ideas too.
I like the ideas.
Okay, well,
With
so
the,
like
with
a
the
big,
yeah, I
you want
like the
me-
ideas with the fresh blood, you know, the coming, it's
okay, okay.
we are all I'm all ears.
Okay, so I think like a huge part of this project, like looking at that must be revised every 5 years, is being able to summarize what the community's needs are, so a more well-rounded approach. Like clearly we have the conservation viewpoint, but
Mhm.
the other part, I feel like you could be someone who connects that, and that might be through, once I analyze the survey results, taking that and like speaking for the community, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
using your brain from that perspective. That's kind of why I was excited for you to join personally.
Who, me?
What I'd like to do, Hannah, for me is, I certainly want to be involved in on-site survey. What's the condition of these spaces and tie that into what improvements could we either recommend? I'm sure there's going to be a funding issue to make them usable for park spaces. And one of the areas would probably be parking. It's
Yeah.
difficult to go to these places and park in the edge of the street but beyond that, I'd like to hold until I can actually get caught up and read through the 161 pages here and see what we might have to update and divide it up that way.
Steve, do you know a lot about Bellingham's history, or do you just enjoy history?
Just enjoy history. I'm 62. I think I'm historic.
Uh, because the historic
I'm part of history at this point.
Oh, Steve. I think we all are.
I just feel like the historic section also just needed some improvement. There just wasn't much to it, and it made me think of how you enjoy history. So I was like, I'm gonna make sure you look at it.
Okay.
You gotta read about Rosenfeld concrete, I think it was. Or it was like a historic, kind of like Varney Brothers, but South Bellingham. Read about it and then write about it, basically.
See, I don't even know that stuff. Actually, Ariane, are you on the Google Drive right now?
Yeah, I am.
Would you mind sharing my meeting notes so the other two can see that table? Because I
Share
have
my
it on
screen.
a different laptop.
Share. I might need permission.
I
Pam.
just made you a co-host, so you should be good to go.
Oh,
I got it up if you don't, Ariane. I've got our meeting minutes on screen.
So the
Yep.
second page,
That's good.
that's just basically what I just read of like ideas of people, but that's what's in the workbook of like where it says must be revised. Like that's where I feel like the people who are consistently a part of the committee, like those are the things we're gonna have to tackle. So when I was saying the community goals / analysis of needs, that's where I'm like hoping Sahan wants to be more heavily a part of.
Okay.
But just so you have a reference of our goals in terms of the details that need to be changed and upgraded.
That
And you'll
stinks. I feel like a lot of my stuff is all in the may need revision category, or all the stuff that I am like most interested in. Not to say I'm not interested in community goals. They're very important, but
Yep.
So which section are you on? What number?
like the environmental inventory stuff, and like I noticed the endangered species section that I was skimming through in our original open space one is a bit outdated. And I also think it looks like it only includes animals. It doesn't include plants. So,
Right.
Hmm.
I really have no backstory of how the original plan was created, or if they just put together the 2008 one and then updated 2017. I think there's a lot of room and improvement. So even though this workbook says that it just may need to be revised, if we
Yep.
have the knowledge, we should revise it. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
I mean, we might able to get some of that information, originally when it created, the dentist might have the answers for those, like your specific information. I
Yeah.
can kind of pick his brain a little bit once
Yeah.
I have all this.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Okay. I'm trying to think. I
is our
don't think
plan organized like this? Sorry. I didn't mean to-
no, I think it is. Yep. I think all plans are supposed to be organized like that.
Okay.
And ours is.
Oh yeah, you said history of the community, but that's like only if necessary, but like it's probably necessary.
Yeah. It's a lower priority, but it was, I just like thought it was kind of funny when I was reading it. I was like, I think they could probably do better.
It seems as if the table of contents and Hannah's matrix nearly read identical.
Do they?
Good.
Props to me. I didn't even know it existed at the time.
I can show you the table of contents if you want me to share the screen for a moment.
Oh wait, are you talking about this table on the meeting notes?
No,
What table are you talking about?
the open space plan of 2017. The table
Oh,
of
that's
contents on it
because
nearly.
they are the same. Like it's the state. I didn't create that table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
This
just
was already out there.
yeah, this is like the state's requirements.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So to answer Ariane's question, is the workbook the same as this matrix? The answer is yes.
Okay, great. So once we have our committee, we could like kind of use this table to pick sections and assign work. And I
Yeah.
think these sections are obviously where like those resources are going to come in, the like business owners and people invested in trails and nature, and just people from all different walks of life, basically. Like their input's going to be important here, and I'm not sure like I kind of wonder if the guide that you're using sort of recommends that as a way of saying like you can get their opinions during like the questionnaire phase, like because we're gonna use that input to develop this. Obviously like they can have additional input in public meetings and stuff, but yeah, maybe it'll be something like that, like input here and then we'll put it in, or obviously if we have more writing the better. Sorry, my husband's playing video games in the background.
It's okay. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Definitely. Okay, I'm just like thinking, I see it. Sahan has like 7 minutes if we give him 1 minute to get to his other meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for keeping up with it.
Yeah, so the other thing I just want to briefly say, it sounds like with the committee formation, like keep this on your radar. Think about people. I'll create an ad. I can share it with you guys. We'll post it on the Bellingham website. And I'm gonna reach out to people that are like already in town hall, planning board, public health, like those people. Some of them I've already spoken to, so they're aware of it. And the goal is to hopefully get them all at the first meeting in January, whenever we create that date. Anything else on committee formation?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. So the one thing I went through completely, which hopefully, Steve, you'll realize it doesn't actually take 161 pages to do, is I just went through and kind of read each sentence of the whole open space plan and said, this will probably need to be updated. This doesn't make sense. This is really bad grammar, you know, stuff like that. I've already gone through it once, but I'm not an English genius. So if anyone else is interested in contributing to that kind of thing, that would be much appreciated.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Steve, that might be up in your alley, you know.
Certainly. I was gonna read it anyway, so I can
Yeah.
certainly mark it up and.
It's
then
more
hand it-
fun because then you get to judge it. Just grab a red ink pen. Mark
That would
it.
be Blue Beam.
Okay, that works. That's fine. That was kind of, if you're not interested in that, or you aren't someone who is like, I like English or whatever, just like if you could at least scan through the open space plan to get a good grasp of what it really looks like. That, and I would say it would be beneficial, the places where it says must be revised, maybe we should read those like more detailed, just so you know what previously used to be there, because apparently a lot of updated open space plans take that and then they kind of like answer it as 5 years later, we did do these things and now we're going to do this. So as people who are from Bellingham or have been around Bellingham for a while, that's something that's going to be a weakness of mine that you guys could probably have more knowledge on.
So how many topics here? I'm just looking at over here because I don't have the whole screen. I see we got, what is it, 8 or 9? Hannah, I'm just looking at over here.
Yeah, it's 9.
9-ish.
Yeah, so like 7, 8, 9 are kind of based on the survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it's obviously number 4 needs quite a bit of attention, and Ariane said she might be interested on that, and
Yeah.
I might be interested in actually fisheries and wildlife part 2 on that, but I'm also interested on 7, and then I might help out definitely with the 7 and as well as 3,
Perfect.
and that will be something, you know, I can put my hands on it, and
Okay.
then with other people.
Steve, what about landscape character for you? I haven't read that section yet, but it seems like something you'd be interested in. This section under number 4.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
So that's an analysis of existing.
Yeah. And things that have changed since 2017.
Okay.
Well, definitely changed a lot. And it's obviously even like the last 2-3 years changed a lot. I think these are great topics, and I think it's gonna give us a great base to work with.
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I don't have the history of Bellingham in the past 10 years, but it sounds like a lot of changes have happened in just 5 years. So I can imagine whatever is currently in the open space plan doesn't hold true anymore.
I mean, it's on my part, you know, it's what I hear most of the time, you know, it's go back to the Steve's point. I didn't want to just cut off earlier. Open space, I think when the people talk about open space, usable, the parks, obviously we got trails, but I think the most of the people that are interested in the people they can hang out, spend some time with their families, grandkids, or with the elders or seniors. So it's, I think you and I, we talked about it too. And I think that's the one missing link, it's I think in the on Bellingham area, it's, I think we all agree that it's, we don't really have a lot of usable open park space other than fields, obviously youth sports they use or take care of. And then when you look at the park, we got Silver Lake, and then you got the South, but I mean, not really, except other than the school properties. And the only option we have left is with the Silver Lake, and which is in the process, obviously, that we update and a lot of things on that. But I think, that we need more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, exactly what you're saying. So far, just so you guys know, I have 291 responses on the survey, which is awesome.
Yep.
Compared to 191. And the question about where have you visited, 76% of people.
Okay. Hannah, I'm sorry, they just came and I need to get off. If you guys don't mind, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of needed on the other side.
That's
and,
okay.
So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna bail out, and then I will get the rest of the materials and I go through all this process, and then maybe I catch up with Steve or with you later on, and then kind of rest of the stuff. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Be well. You gotta go, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
See ya.
Yep.
But 76% of people that took the survey go to town common, and that's like, I think that's what he's like was kind of getting at, is that like that's not really a trail place, for example.
It's like 6 benches around a circle.
Yeah, like aesthetically, I don't find that interesting, but maybe generationally, like if you, like he said, grandparents and kids and everything, like that's a smart place to all hang out. So I don't know, I found that interesting, but
Could be one of our 5-year action plan items to make, like, or to consider open space that's more friendly to that as we like acquire more land, or consider like redeveloping existing land that isn't like used for another purpose, like animal conservation and things like that, as that type of land.
right, yeah, definitely. But you're not talking about what we should do, right?
No, just some ideas for when we actually start the committee.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like the last thing, because I didn't want this meeting to be that long, was to think about if there was any other ways the survey could be distributed. Have either of you guys taken it by chance yet?
No,
Should we?
that's
Yeah.
where I was.
Why not?
Would you say yes?
Yeah, you should take it.
Okay.
Because, yeah, you should take it. Unless you can think of a reason why not to.
I mean, I guess we are
Yes,
members of
the
Bellingham.
what's that area?
We are residents of Bellingham. It's just, I don't know if it would meet like a conflict of interest, but it seems like a conflict of the interests of the open space plan and then being on the plan. But we'd also be inviting people from the public who do have an interest in the plan, so maybe it wouldn't be.
And I mean, you guys are representing, I mean, of course, there's going to be bias of your own brain and your own opinion, but at the end of the day, we're taking the survey results as a whole and saying, what does the town need? It's not what Steve needs.
Sounds like we're going to represent one in what, 291? Is that what you said?
That's what we're at right now.
293 total.
Yeah.
If we both took it.
Ariana,
So
you live in town, correct?
Yeah.
I'm reading the survey now. Yeah, I can fill this out. I think it would be good, actually.
yeah.
And have the best open space plan ever.
Ever. So let me tell you how I've distributed it so far, and if there's any things that I've missed, I'll do those ways as well. It's on the town's homepage. It's on the conservation page. I sent it out to every town worker that I had access to through email, and some of those people have Facebook pages. Like I think the DPW has a Facebook page, and they shared it. So I think that's why we got so many results so quickly, like in a week. I think I started that last week.
So Hannah, who's gonna compile, say, a bell curve of the responses? In other words, question 10, 45% said answered this. Are you gonna do that? Ah, there you
Google
go.
does it.
Ah,
I don't
okay.
have to do
Is-
anything.
Is there a way to filter it so that we're not getting responses from like for lack of a better term, trolls?
So actually what you guys can see on the drive, it's an Excel sheet and it says the Bellingham Open Space Rec Plan 2024 responses. If you look at it on the drive, it's updated as every person fills it out. So it doesn't so basically I just assumed I was gonna have to go in and filter out no answers, or I was gonna compile, like if some people put in a short answer response that's very similar to a different one, I was gonna kind of categorize those responses. Like if multiple people talked about dog parks, for example, or the lack of dog park. Unless you have a better idea.
So like, for example, I see 2 in a row that say something about roads becoming unsafe. So like, would we be assuming that those could be coming from the same person, or like, does that matter?
I thought about that. I think that there's probably a higher chance that it might be friends or family members taking the survey next to each other.
Yeah.
And the only reason I think that is because I had sent these out as a paper version during the town meeting, and I got 2 back that had very similar short answer responses, but not exact. So I think like there was conversation happening while they were filling out the survey.
Yeah.
So
So it's like, I mean, as long as they answer the questions, I guess, and they have valid points. Like, I feel like if they were just going to be a troll, then it would probably be like a weird outlier. Like, they
yeah,
would be like, everything's perfect or something like that. And then, like, all the other ones would say, like, no, there's issues, or vice versa.
yeah.
I guess
No,
it doesn't really matter.
and if they are an outlier, then hopefully they stay true to being an outlier, which is not going to be the majority, right? So it probably
Yeah.
won't impact our action plan in the long term.
True.
So yeah,
Obviously, some of these answers, too much development taking over green space and causing traffic congestion. There's nothing we can do about that.
well, yeah. Some, I mean, I guess besides sharing that information with the town administrator, with the other boards, you know, but in terms of like open space, you're right. Like we can't like stop or completely change zonings, you know, but the zoning board could be like, they're supposed to represent the town too, right? So us sharing this knowledge with them theoretically would be a good thing. But yeah, so you can see all the answers on the Excel sheet, which is a lot. So sometimes looking at it on the Google form, which I'm sorry I can't share with you, I created it before we had a drive, and I couldn't move it over. I like tried and it didn't work. Because
I
I
I
made it.
like the honesty of some. Why does one particular quadrant that you picked, not you?
Yeah.
The answer is because I'm selfish and live there.
They want
That was Cliff.
more.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. There's some interesting stuff. There's some people who really took time to like really explain their answers. So I think they're gonna be like those are gonna be really useful. But without going into conversation about those too much, is there any other thoughts of how I can two other things that I've done. I've reached out to the senior center and I'm talking to them tomorrow during their coffee hour. And because they are probably doing more of a paper version than the online survey. And then also the survey is going to go out in the superintendent newsletter. So hopefully I'm hoping to get kids a part of this as well, because they're the ones using the parks.
Nice.
Yeah. So does anyone have any other ideas of how this could get distributed? Because there's 17,000 people. We're like at 300.
I think maybe, so I want to not say mail it because then you're going to have to go through those 14,000 potentially responses, but maybe you could mail something that's like a QR code to link to the survey.
I agree with Ariane. Keep it to your Google so that the compiling of the data is done by that. You're not adding a whole bunch of work to your list. And if you have 300 responses already, take a look at how many people show up at the town meetings to vote, about half that.
Or at the elections.
So I would be surprised if you get more than 500. So if you're at 300 already, that's just based on town meeting response. I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. In my mind, I think like
You
the
wanted
superintendent. Oh, sorry. What?
15,350 of 17,000.
I know it sounds like such a small number, but just the fact that they only got 191 last time, I'm like, maybe, what we already have is already great. I
Wow,
hope
what is this? What is this?
I hope
That might have been my boyfriend. Sorry.
I'm hoping that the superintendent newsletter encourages parents to like say, hey kids, like here's a chance that you can be part of local government. That's how I kind of worded it. I worded it that way. So we'll see. But I don't know when that email is going out. So
I like
But I
that
can-
idea though.
I can look into the mailing idea that you said, Ariane. The only downfall of that is that might cost money.
Yeah.
So I'll just have to, that might just have to be a decision we'll have to make.
You could try to limit it to certain places or like maybe put it some flyers at like the places people shop, like Market Basket, Stop and Shop, maybe put like a flyer on the door with the QR code and like, hey, want to take a survey? And like I know a lot of the people who aren't likely to reply to like any of the other sources you've already tried are also probably not likely to like scan a QR code on their phone or even have that capability. So maybe we could like put a thing at the bottom that's like, or stop by the Conservation Commission during office hours to grab a paper form or something.
Okay. Yeah. I do have paper copies upstairs because like no one walks on the bottom floor, but I have them on the top floor.
When you look at the, I don't know what question is, but what are the challenges preventing you from enjoying the parks and areas? And
Yes.
nearly everything is lack of information. We can answer that. Well, we've accomplished something.
Yeah, I actually, when that one is, so you can't see in the sheet, but on the Google thing, it's right now 49% of people marked that. And some people wrote in the other like social media or something like that to basically another form of information. And I sent that directly to our IT department, and I was like, I think we're going to be improving some things on the website, and she said that it's been in discussion just in general. So I think that's like something that definitely is going to get discussed.
And I don't see the answers for the safety question.
Like the safety question.
Yeah. Thought you asked, do you feel safe?
Oh, it's under the question, are there any challenges or barriers? That would be
Feeling
question,
unsafe at the park.
yeah.
How often does that come up?
How does that come up?
Yeah, does it come up often? I was just looking for that answer.
Oh, only 5.9% had marked that. So that question I actually got from Boston's survey, which I thought was really interesting. It probably is very different answer percentage in Boston, depending on what neighborhood or if there's good lighting at a park or, you know, whatever. But I was intrigued to see, because some of the comments that people have written is saying that there's specific parks that they avoid for certain reasons. So
I see the column it's in. Doesn't show up that often, does it?
so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay. So my goals was to talk about committee formation. Everyone read through the open space plan, and then just showing you an update of where the survey is going. And I would really like to probably close out the survey by New Year's, so then we can just really focus on the action plan based on it. But we'll just see. We'll see how the results come in, I guess, if more come in. And those cover my 3 big things I wanted to discuss. So unless anyone else has any like organizational things that we probably should bring up, say it.
So just to revisit your opening statement, this meeting is strictly a structure meeting, not a content meeting. Will all our meetings be that way?
No. The reason why I had to formally say that is because if it is, this is public, people will be able to, because it is recorded, so they can watch this, but it was such a quick turnaround, and obviously not that many people were aware of it, that the public should be able to be, they want to make sure that the public knows about every committee meeting. So if they do have specific input on certain chapters or things like that, that they can voice those things.
Are we going to try and stay Zoom or go live at Arcan?
It depends on, so that's the last thing organizationally.
My
I
preference
like,
would be Arcan.
I like that if you're not gonna make me go out there for no reason. If it works with my work schedule, I'm set to do that. That works with me. But I'm not gonna.
Let's schedule it for the days that you're here.
Okay. Just thinking off the top of my head, Thursdays.
Although your live in-person schedule may be a thing of in flux in the coming months.
That is true, but I can say at least for a fact that Thursdays have been like, I'm always there on Thursdays. So, and then obviously Wednesdays work. It just depends on what you guys also want and need.
And maybe
Just a
a
question
hybrid
to bounce, sorry, a question to bounce off the topic of public meetings. Do we need to take minutes and have minutes?
That I'm not 100% sure on. And we also need to be careful about quorum. So it's kind of good that Noel didn't show up. Yeah, I haven't gotten a firm answer on that, but I plan to by our first formal meeting.
Okay.
Do either of you guys have a preference on what day of the week? And it sounds like 6:30 is good.
I'm more flexible because I live and work. I don't work in town, but I'm coming home. You're the one who, let me rephrase that. You're the one who has a long drive after the meeting.
Yeah, but I just stick around and I'll just shift my schedule around so I'm not in Bellingham all day. You know, I'll just come in
Okay.
a little, you know.
You come in later?
Yeah.
I could also do earlier if it's through Zoom. Like I could be like at my office doing this. I'm like, it's okay, I'm off the clock, you know?
I'm fine with, there's probably always going to be a Zoom option, so I'm fine if you join on Zoom as long as you feel like you can actively participate on Zoom, because some people get quieter when they're on Zoom. So it's up to your preference.
Okay. Would you say that I'm quieter on Zoom versus in person?
I'm smiling because I wasn't going to answer that area.
I feel like I'm pretty good at interrupting, so.
I think you are. um
I think we both
okay.
are.
So then I can just set up a poll. So 5:30 would be the earliest for you, Ariane?
5:45.
5:45?
I'm with her. 5:45 would be the earliest. 6:30 is 6 would work.
Okay.
5:45 is the earliest. 6 would be preferred.
The one other thing I need to check is, you know, if the room is available. So I can get back to you guys on that. And I was thinking I think once a month is good. I could easily meet more because there's a lot to get through, but that's taking up a lot of time. So I'm thinking once a month with homework and like discussions maybe throughout the month
I
would be
think
better.
that's a great start.
Yeah.
Especially at the next meeting, there's going to be a lot for us to read and I think you get better answers after all of us digest the information here a bit more.
Okay.
And
I
you
think,
still have to, go ahead, Ariane.
sorry, if we have anything that has to be like approved or decided on, that like we would need public input on, then maybe we could like set aside those things for the meeting or set aside a special meeting for them as long as we give adequate time in advance, you know, open meeting law and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
And
All
I
right.
think a lot of success here is going to be, stay fluid, especially if it turns out being a small group and the meetings have no one showing up. At that point, we could shift into the conference room downstairs. And if it's only, we're targeting 7 or 9, it may only be 4 or 5.
Right.
Let's roll with what unfolds.
Okay. All right. That all sounds good to me.
We're going to get a lot of restrictions, recommendations, fix this, do this. Like Sahan was saying, more space for families. Well, about the time that we're having to cut trees down and bring in some landscapers, I think we're going to be done, because that's another whole funding aspect.
Right.
Now you're talking about capital projects, and that moves it into a whole different realm than just a booklet of information telling people what we have and how to use it.
Right. And something that's in the workbook, but I need to reread it again. I'm pretty sure I have to hold a public forum to kind of approve the book. So anyone can come into the meeting and be like, I read the book, this is what I agree and disagree with. So there's like parts of that, and it also has to be approved by, I think, the select board and the town administrator. So like our action plans aren't just ideas, they actually have to be things that people who impact the finances of the town agree with. So
So will we have to get this when we're done on the charter for the town meeting by a certain date and have it voted in at town meeting? Probably.
yes, I'm almost positive it's okay to do at the November one when I first looked at it, but I'll have to look again because that was a month ago when I was looking at that. Anything else?
There's a lot of work here, I think.
It is, but I'm excited about it. So I'm gonna jinx myself by saying this, but Concom isn't filling up my entire week as of right now.
You've mentioned that before, so I
So
think this is a good project, and thank you.
yeah, and also this is a side note, but I'm working on getting an intern as well. So we'll have someone else who's looking at this.
You're getting for to
Conservation
do what?
department.
If you're not filling your schedule, what would an intern do?
Oh, I'm filling my schedule, just not necessarily with Concom hearings,
Okay.
like with other projects. So
So
don't
are we
worry.
gonna continue to use Google Drive?
I personally prefer it because then you can edit on the same document together at the same time.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm just
Okay.
anti-Google.
All right. Well, I think that like hits everything, and we did it in under an hour.
Very good. Thank you, Ariane. Be well. Well, now who is attending Wednesday?
Be there.
I'll be there. I think it's important.
I have to do my last MACC fundamentals training an hour before, so I'll be late or I'll have to listen to the recording. But
How's that going, Hannah? Because I didn't do that. I've just been reading through the book. Is it worth it?
I think it is because it's like the people who have been doing this for years, they can they're summarizing what they find to be important after all these years.
Well, I've done the online read it at your own pace thing, but this sounds like this is more of an organized Zoom class. Is that correct?
That is, yeah. Yeah. I've
Good
liked
that
it.
it's on Zoom now.
Yeah.
I did
What?
some of them before it was on Zoom, and it was like you get there and there's like a crowd of people all at the sign up sheet, and then like all the people sign up for all the good stuff, and then I'm stuck taking like planning around stormwater design again, like for the third time. I'm like, do I get credits? So
Yeah, it's much nicer right now. I don't know when they're running the next thing because they just did all of them in like a month and a half. So you might have to wait till spring or next year. I'm not really sure. But I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
thanks, you too.
Bye.